Just a few days to go until the draft then, and I'm going to use the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator to run through 3 simulations just to see what the options are for the Seahawks. So let's go through with simulation number 1. I'm going to try and move down, try and acquire some picks, see what options are available there. Let's have a look what the first simulation comes up with. So the Dolphins have offered to move up 3 spots and a pick next year, a late round pick next year. We need picks this year, though. Only 3 for the Seahawks. So let's see, rather than getting Tennessee's 2022 pick, whether we can get the Dolphins to give us something this year instead. Let's see if they'll give us 2-3-1. Accepted. So moving down 3 spots, essentially picking up a late round pick. We're up to 4 picks. The 2 offers here are not particularly interesting because you've got to move down 18 picks. You just get a 3rd next year. That's the value of a 4th. This Colts situation here, no picks gained this year. And yeah, that's pretty attractive. A 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th. But then you're not going to pick until number 127 in this draft. And then you're only going to pick 4 times. So cannot possibly accept that. With this one, I don't know. I mean, you're moving down 18 spots. Let's see if they'll give up 97 to move up that far. And they will. So, in that situation, just to go back, yeah, you're moving down a long way. And ideally, you wouldn't move down quite as far as that. Let me find the trade offer here. I think we're going to have to go all the way down to Seattle. So 77-97, they move up to get Milton Williams. You've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks. You pick twice in the top 100 instead of once. Yes, you've moved down, 21 picks from your initial pick. But you've got 5 selections. And this could be a good range in terms of value for the Seahawks. So we're here at 77 now. We've got a couple of offers. We can move down another 8 picks to Tennessee at 85, or we can do another 18 picks to Tampa Bay. I'm inclined to reject that. I don't want to pick for the first time that late in the draft, especially when you're not getting a haul of picks this year. 85, moving down 8 spots to get 1 more pick. Let's see who's on the board. Davian Nixon, I'm a big fan of. I'm just not sure that the Seahawks are going to go defensive line this early, or at least defensive tackle. As soon as they moved on from Jaron Reed, they signed Al Woods. In terms of the other players on the board, I'm a big Kellen Mond fan. I don't think there's any chance whatsoever that Kellen Mond is available at 77. I don't think that Benjamin St. Juste is going to be there in like round 5, which is what this simulator projects all of the time. So I'm going to try and keep it as realistic as possible. D. Eskridge would be an option. What have we got in terms of potential centres? Kendrick Green's there. Could be an option. I love Ben Cleveland. I just don't know how you can take a guard, having already brought in Gabe Jackson and with Damian Lewis being there already. Walker Little, maybe some interest there. I'm not entirely convinced that you want to draft a player who's not played for the last 2 years just to sit him for another year. I'm a big fan of Dante Smith. I think he had to be an option in this projection here. And then you're looking at the receivers. You know, you want a 4-4 runner. D. Eskridge, a definite option here if you want to go in that direction. And you could consider cornerback. I know a lot of people think the Seahawks could go. This would be the earliest that they've gone a cornerback in the Carroll era if they were to do that. But Robert Rochelle has got the profile for it. A lot of people like Tyson Campbell. You're picking at 77. He's rated at 78. I think he's very much a 3rd, 4th round type pick. I love Elijah Molden. I just don't know where he fits in Seattle's defense with the players already on the roster. Aaron Robinson's got short arms. So I think in this situation, take a tackle for the future, invest in that area because It's not even so much the age with Dwayne Brown. It's the fact that he's out of contract. And Andrew Whitworth switched teams at the age that Dwayne Brown will be next year. So if you can't get a deal done with him and you're going to be tight against the cap if you re-sign Jamal Adams, you're going to need an option there. And you may need, if Brandon Shell plays as well as he did last year, you may need an option there as well, because he's out of contract too. It's not a good position to be in when both tackles are out of contract at the same time, and you don't have a ton of draft picks. Dante Smith had a good Senior Bowl, so I'm going to take him here. He needs a year in the weight room. He needs to bulk up. He needs to get strong and big, but he's got the length. He's got some of the explosive traits already. I'm going to take Dante Smith at 77. Okay, we're down here at pick 97, and I quite like the look of this. You're moving down 16 spots, you get another pick, and we need to acquire some picks. Yes, you're moving out the top 100, but this is the situation the Seahawks have put themselves in. They've got to try and find picks where they can. And it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, that the Seahawks and the Panthers will do a deal at some point with Scott Fitterer, now the Panthers GM. So we'll accept that deal. What have the Seahawks got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks. They've got a tackle. Let's see what else they can get now. So I'm looking at potential centres here. A lot of them have come off the board, which is a possibility, but that's why you sign Ethan Posick as a draft hedge. Receiver. Again, a lot of the better options. I'm tempted to wait on the position. Smith Marset could be a guy. Marquez Stevenson could be a guy you look at there. Trey Sermon could provide some value here. Kylan Hill could provide some value here. Like I said, Benjamin St. Just is ranked 182 in this simulator. I do not see any prospect whatsoever of that happening. I'm a big Ambry Thomas fan. But the player I'm going to take here is, I'm looking at these. There's a couple of guys that I have in mind. And Dayo Odeyingbo is one of them because he's such a talented player. Could be a first-round pick if he was healthy. Tore his Achilles right before the Senior Bowl. I think if he avoids all of that, he could easily have been in the first round. And he's still here. He's on the board. We pick at number 130. We pick at 129. So I'm looking at him as someone that you stash in round 4, and maybe in a year's time you've got a first-round value. Maybe even he comes back at some point this season. That would be a little bit optimistic given the extent of the injury. But down the line, you could really get some benefit there. And I think you are going to have to plan a little bit ahead of that D-line because, yeah, they've made a few moves there, but who are your long-term pieces on the defensive line? So I'm tempted by Dayo Odeyingbo here. You get a tackle your first pick. You get a defensive end with your second. Right. On that theme, I want to take another player here, and this is the guy I was hoping would last. The Seahawks love to tap into potential and talent that hasn't been realized. And when I look at Shaun Wade, I see a guy who was a 5-star recruit, who many people, not everybody, admittedly, not everyone was a fan a year ago, but a lot of people thought top 15 was a distinct possibility with the way that he played in 2019. He is physical. He has 33.5-inch arms. He's 6 foot and 196 pounds. And he didn't play well in 2020. But if you ask him to play within structure, within a scheme like Seattle's, stay on top, be physical, mix things up a bit, use your length, then I think Shaun Wade down the line could be a really, very talented player. And one of the things the Seahawks are going to have to consider with so few picks is where can you get your value? Where can you get your value? And they found it in the past. They found value with DK Metcalf. They found value with Frank Clark. They also looked for that value with Malik McDowell and with Christian Michael, and it didn't work out. But they do look for players who fall for whatever reason. I'm going to take Shaun Wade there. And although they list him as a safety, I'm taking him to play cornerback. Right, so this is what we've got. Tackle, defensive end, cornerback. We need some offense at this point. I like the look of Kylan Hill here at 151. I think that is better than the options at receiver. Use the depth at receiver to your advantage. Take one later on. Take Kylan Hill here because really think the Seahawks need some running back depth. I don't think the depth they've got behind Chris Carson is particularly strong. 2-3-1. Who's left on the board at receiver? Not many options, but this is a guy to keep an eye on. Racey McMath. Very good special teamer. Runs in the 4-3s. Downfield threat. Could produce some tremendous value there at 2-3-1. So I'm going to take him there and address the receiver need. 250, you're kind of just looking for some real value here. Now, I'll talk about the class overall when we've finished. I mean, I'm just not sure. The centres have gone. There's nobody here I'm looking at as a potential prospective centre. We've missed the boat there. I'm looking at value here. Now, if I hadn't taken a running back with Kylan Hill, I'd be considering Chris Evans here because of the upside potential. But I'm going to take Noah Gray. This is the kind of range he's expected to go in. I think he could replace Jacob Hollister. He's got the agility testing that the Seahawks like. And yet, you know what? Tight end's not the biggest need, but I think that's a player, again, who's fallen a little bit based on where he was originally expected to go a year ago. Get him in round 7. It's a shot to nothing, really. And I think he's got a better chance than some of the other players on the board to give you something in that range. So here's what we've got. Offensive tackle of the future, left or right. He's got flexibility, could play guard if absolutely necessary. We've got a defensive end who we might have to redshirt this year, but has got first-round talent. Down the line could be tremendous value for us. Cornerback, depth, competition, extremely talented. It says safety. I see him as a corner. He's got experience of playing in the nickel as well, so that's valuable. And he's got 33.5-inch arms. Kylan Hill, running back depth, downhill, physical, has the size the Seahawks like. Racey McMath, downfield receiver, can stretch the field, but excellent on special teams. And Noah Gray, who is that move tight end, can kind of get in the way when he's in the slot if he needs to block or anything like that. But generally, he's more of a move him around, try and move the chains type tight end as opposed to, inline blocking type of guy. So that's the first simulator. The one position we haven't addressed, of course, is center here, and a lot of people will be screaming at the screen for that. But, in other simulations, I will look at that. But they re-sign Ethan Posick as a draft edge for a reason. If the board doesn't go a certain way, if you don't take a Kendrick Green when you get the opportunity, there's a decent chance you'll miss out. There's a good chance that a lot of those centres will be off the board that you're really looking at by the time you get to 56. So the options might be limited there. That's why you sign Ethan Posick. I quite like the look of this draft board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks. I think you've padded out your depth a bit. You've got players who could be long-term starters down the line in Hill, in Wade, in Odeyingbo, and in Smith. And that's really what this draft is about for me with regards to the Seahawks. It's about what you are doing in the future. So that is simulation number 1. Here's simulation number 2 then. Let's see if we can do things a little bit differently this time. See what offers are on the table at 56. We're pretty much always going to move down from 56. We're definitely not going to move down 104 picks, though, in a deal with the division rival Arizona Cardinals. So we're not going to do that. See, this is an interesting one. I'm not going to do this deal, but I can negotiate with the Chiefs. I am not giving up one of our picks this year and having 56, 58 and then a 7th rounder just to get a 3rd rounder next year. I'm not doing that. So let's see what we can get from the Chiefs. See if they'll give us 175. And they have to move down 2 spots. Happy to do that. This is almost the exact same offer we got from the Chargers before. Titans are offering a jump from the 4th to the 2nd next year. That's interesting. That is tempting a little bit. I'm going to come back to that one. Now, in this projection, Quinn Miners is still on the board, which is very, very tempting to me. We only have 4 picks, though. So it's like, what do you want? I mean, Landon Dixon's there as well. So if we're trading down to 77 again, collecting another pick there, or even trading down to 85 to get into round 2 next year, do we want to miss out on Quinn Miners to go down as far as 85? I don't really want to give up a 4th round pick. Let's see if they'll give up a 2nd next year to make this jump. Because that, I don't know, I just don't. It's just so tempting to take Quinn Miners, though, and just have that done. And yeah, it'd be nice to have another second, especially because they don't have the first. But, the Titans, it's going to be a late second. Do you really want to go down that road? Do you know what? I'm just going to take Quinn Miners. I don't think it's very likely he's going to be there at 58. However, I didn't think Damian Lewis would be there in round 3. I thought he was a top 50 lock as well. So I'm going to take Quinn Miners at 58. So in this simulation, a little bit different. We've got the centre right off the bat. And now it's about, can we get other positions? Can we do other things? So, a receiver, Marquez Stevenson didn't test as well as everyone thought he was going to at his pro day. And that could lead to a bit of a fall. In terms of the tackles, it's a bit of a reach to get involved in this market here. Guard, we've got a centre already. Running back, Kylan Hill, option there. Sean Wade still there. Dayo Odeyingbo still there. I still think either of those two in this kind of range, if they are there at 129, I'm kind of running to the desk. I mean, it's pick 129. And you can get a guy that if you were just talking 12 months ago, then Sean Wade would have been projected much higher than this. And if you're talking 6 months ago, Dayo Odeyingbo's been talked about much earlier than this. So for me, I'm taking one of those two guys in this situation. But I also love Bobby Brown. I think he is a fantastic talent. Loads of potential. I do not think he's going to be here at pick 129 at all. But I'm wrong about things, as I was with Damian Lewis. And I've already taken Quinn Miners, even though I don't think he's going to be there at 58. So I'll take Bobby Brown. And I'll go centre, defensive tackle with huge upside, huge potential. Right, we've got this offer here from the Texans. They want to move up 20 spots. They want us to move down 22 late. Sorry, they want to move up, and then they want to give us a pick later on. We're going to move up twice. I'd quite like to add a pick rather than flip picks. So let's see if they'll do the same deal for 203, which they won't. Let's see if they'll do something for a 7th next year instead. They will. So we're going up a 7th next year. We add another pick this year. And we trade down. So at this point in simulation number 2, we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks. We've got an offer from the Titans to move down 10 spots. Again, I don't want to lose picks. Let's see if they'll do the same deal for 215. They won't. Not a huge surprise, same as the last situation here. Let's see if they'll do it for 232. So this is a difficult one. Do we want to move down 10 spots? Who's on the board? There's nobody that kind of screams out that we've got to have them at this stage. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to accept that offer. So we're picking at 203 and 205. What have we got so far? A centre and a defensive tackle with massive upside. I'm going to take Israel Mukawamu at this point. I think that he is, just to look at him, he looks like a Seahawks cornerback. Again, he's listed as a safety. Sean Wade was listed as a safety. Mukawamu was listed as a safety. Cornerbacks for Seattle, though. I like that pick as a potential guy who you can fit into the competition this year and maybe try and develop for the future. So, Miners, Brown, Mukawamu is what we've got so far. Running back at 205 maybe, just to add a bit of depth. Final pick is in 10 picks time, so we've got a chance here to make a couple of moves. I'm going to take Dan Moore in this spot. 3-year starter at Texas A&M, left tackle candidate. Got some of the traits the Seahawks look for in terms of length, size, and explosion. I'll take Dan Moore here as a project left tackle. It's not that he's necessarily going to start. He may have to move to the right-hand side. He may just be a backup. But this late in the draft, I'll go and take a shot on somebody like that. So we've got a centre, a defensive tackle, a cornerback, and a potential tackle of the future, somebody to develop a project. I said I was going to take him in simulation number 1 if we didn't go with Kylan Hill. I'm going to take Chris Evans here. The Chris Evans a few years ago was seen as the next big thing in terms of running backs. Michigan scouts apparently loved him. That's according to reports. It didn't go well for Chris Evans late on, but if you take him in, Chris Carson was a late round pick. If you take Chris Evans there, maybe it works out. Maybe the light switches on. Maybe in this environment, without the pressure of having to start and be the guy, he could offer something there. So I think a value pick. So I quite like this simulation. You know, they've only picked 5 times in the end, but you have addressed some of your needs. Centre, Quinn Miners could start right away. Bobby Brown straight into the rotation there. So a couple more impact players with massive upside. Then you've got a cornerback, you've got a tackle, you've got a running back. So, you know, no receiver. I mean, that's going to be an issue. Maybe you have to return to the veteran market after that. It would be really difficult to miss out on a receiver in this deep receiver class. Not to come away with anybody would be quite frustrating. But, you know, you start the draft with 3 picks. You're not going to address every single need. And off the back of this, you probably have to go out and re-sign KJ Wright. You're going to have to go and put a call into someone like Golden Tate or Antonio Brown if you want to go down that direction. You're going to have to see what you can get in the undrafted free agent market. I really like Racing McMath in the last simulation. Is he undrafted? Can you bring him in as an undrafted free agent to come in and do what we could have done if we'd have taken him in the later rounds? Do you take McMath there instead of Chris Evans? That's a possibility. So there are options for the Seahawks, but this is how it worked out in simulation number 2. Let's do one more simulation. Third and final simulation then. Let's see if we can do something different. We've kind of moved down a long way and made a few different picks. We've moved down only a little bit. Let's see what's on offer this time. So the Patriots want us to move down 40 picks and losing our 7th rounder just to get a 2nd rounder next year. And the Steelers want us to move down 11 picks and they're giving us a 4th rounder next year. So as lovely as it would be to have an extra 2nd rounder, moving down 40 picks and not getting anything this year and actually losing a pick this year is just a non-starter. So we're going to reject that. For the Steelers, 67, that's kind of the range I'm happy to move down, but we need to get some stock this year. So let's see if we can get a couple of picks off them. 140, 254, let's see if they'll do it. They will. So we've moved down into the top of round 3. Now the Broncos give us a call. They want us to move down another 4 spots, and they're giving up 114, but it's going to cost us a 5th. Let's see if we can move that to a 7th. Add another pick this year to move down 4 spots. They won't. Let's see if they'll take the 6th instead. They won't. Do we want to lose a 5th next year just to gain essentially 114 this year? That's reasonable, I think. You know, essentially it's a round difference. It's kind of a wash in terms of value. Let's go for it. Let's move down 4 spots, get that extra pick this year. If you'd notice, Quinn Miners has just gone off the board at 66 to the Rams, by the way. That will have a lot of people very unhappy. So we move down again. And get another offer here. So let's just see where we are. We've got 2 offers. We're going to reject that one. We are not moving down 70 picks for a 2nd rounder, especially with the Rams. 3 picks from Washington. So what have we got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've doubled our picks and we've only moved down from 56 to 71. So doubled the picks, moving down 15 spots. Let's just have a quick look. I mean, De'Ami Brown's still there. Like him a lot. I like Pete Werner. I'm not sure they're going to go linebacker here. What I think I'm going to do is see if we can trade down those 4 spots, but try and get another pick this year instead of that 7th there. See if we can get 2-4-4. They've accepted it. So here we are. We're at 74. A lot of the guys that were on the board 71 are still here that I like. You know, Spencer Brown is very, very tall. I just wonder if he's too tall for the Seahawks. But he's got so much upside. It's appalling leverage. Technique needs a load of work. But because he's such a good athlete and therefore has the potential to play anywhere or cross the line, you just wonder if teams will value him. I think he's going to go a lot earlier than this. I think Dyami Brown's going to be long gone by this point too. But I really like Dyami Brown, so I'm going to strongly consider that. 74, again, Kendrick Green is kind of the alternative to Quinn Miners. Dante Smith still there. We've already taken him once, so we'll go in a different direction here. I'm very much leaning towards one of two things. So either Dyami Brown or Kendrick Green. When do we pick again? 114. There's a decent chance that Green will be gone by the time we get there. How badly do you want somebody who can maybe work inside, compete with Ethan Posick, and be your centre, versus Dyami Brown, who is just exceptional getting downfield, has huge potential? I'm going to take Dyami Brown in this situation. We've not taken a receiver first in any of these simulations yet. Let's do it here. I think Dyami Brown's going to be a top 45 pick, though. So we've taken a receiver. 114 Dante Smith still available here. Defensively, again, you know, I've spoken about it already. Odeyingbo and Wade for their value I like a lot. As expected, Kendrick Green is gone. So you're going to have to look in a different direction there. Trey Sermon, if you wanted to go in a different direction with the running backs, I'm just not sure, you know, that some teams are going to really buy into Trey Sermon and think they can get what's there out of him. I think others are just going to be really wary. And I don't really want to go wide receiver, running back, and go double skill position here when you've got so many needs around the corner. But I want to mix things up a little bit here because I really like Buddy Johnson. Now, he's ranked at 255. And we've not been... And look, I don't know what's going to happen with KJ Wright. I suspect that he will probably be back in Seattle. It's just going to take a bit of time to get that done. And it might be after the draft when he just reevaluates his market. That seems the way that he and Sherman are going to go. Although I don't think they're going to sign Richard Sherman, having already added Pierre Desir. So, if they don't want to wait, and if they want to invest a little bit in this position, Buddy Johnson has got a lot of what they like. Fantastic agility, 407 short shuttle, I think it was, 407, 408, something like that. Teammates loved him at Texas A&M. I think he plays well beyond his 230-pound size. Very explosive. I just think he's their type of guy. So for the purpose of mixing things up, I'm going to take him there at a 113. Now, tackle situation is not great. That puts you in a bit of a bind. Centre and guard position's not great either. You know, what are you going to do here? Robert Hainsey maybe comes into play if you want a bit of competition at centre. But I just really think they're going to need to take somebody who's got that positional flexibility as soon as you get into this kind of range. So this is a difficult one. This is a difficult place to be because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks, and you've kind of got to think down the line, what are you going to be able to get later on? And 3 of those picks are right at the end of the draft as well. So a lot of big decisions here. Now, we've already taken Odeyingbo and Bobby Brown once already. We've already taken Sean Wade once already. But for me, it's hard to fight the board. So I want to sort of pick from those 3 guys with these 2 picks here and really come out with something. So I'm going to take Wade here. Odeyingbo still on the board. Brown's gone. I'll take Odeyingbo here and stash him. And then when we get to the end of the draft here, what do we look like in terms in tackle? Josh Ball, big character concerns. Can't see the Seahawks going in that direction. don't really see much here. Hutcherson has got the explosive traits that they like. They wanted to add depth at guard. Chris Evans is still there. I really like Derek Forrest. And I think in terms of somebody that can come in and maybe replace Leno Hill and provide a bit of depth and something at safety, I think Forrest is going to be a really good pick for somebody. I'm not going to take him first, though. I do think they need some running back depth. So Chris Evans again here. Then I'll go back for Derek Forrest. And then at 254, because I think they need a little something else. So I'm either going to go Noah Gray here, John Bates, who I think will go in round 5 range, not last around 7. Luke Farrell's an option. You know, Racy McMath is still going to be there somewhere. I think because we've taken receiver very, very early, we can kind of snooze on that bit for now. I'm going to take Noah Gray again. So it's very different, you know. Some picks are the same, yet, you know, we've taken Sean Wade and Odeyingbo a couple of times, Evans a couple of times, Noah Gray a couple of times, but a very different simulation again. So, and what all of these simulations do is they show that you can't always address, even if you trade down and you get a few picks and you go from 3 to 6 or 7, you're not going to be able to address every single need for the future in this draft. You are going to need 10 or 11 picks to do that because you simply can't go, if you go receiver first, you run the risk of not getting a center. If you go centre first, you run the risk of not getting a receiver or a tackle. If you want to add to your defensive line at all, you're going to maybe miss out on some defensive backs or receivers. So it's what are you able to get done here? And then how do you set yourselves up in the veteran market afterwards, which all teams always have to do. They always have to look for things like that. And this is, you know, what we've got here with the Seahawks. So we've got De'Ami Brown, great number 3 receiver with the potential to be a 1 or a 2 down the line. He's that good. You've got Buddy Johnson to provide some real solidity in the linebacker, some depth there. You're not going to worry too much about moving on from KJ because he's got so much potential. A future pairing of Jordan Brooks and Buddy Johnson for me would be really good. Sean Wade can come in, as I've mentioned before, and play some cornerback for you. Dayo Odeyingbo, you stash him at defensive end. Wade and Odeyingbo, if developed properly, can be first-round talents, even if, you know, the injury for Odeyingbo and the play for Wade in 2022 are not good news. Chris Evans, mentioned before, a lot of untapped potential there. Derek Forrest, special teams dynamo straight away because of the way that he plays, but he's got the speed, he can hit, he can play different positions, he could play a bit of big nickel, he could play strong safety. With the speed that he showed, he may even be able to play a little bit of free as well. And then you've got Noah Gray, who's kind of replacing Jacob Hollister for you. So those are the 3 simulations. I think we've run through some different options. What I need from you, first of all, subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. And then like the video. Then go into the comment section and let me know whether you prefer simulation number 1, simulation number 2, and simulation number 3. The other thing I need you to do, go to Pro Football Network's mock draft simulator, have a go yourself. Let me know in the comment section what your simulations threw up. I think this is the best mock draft simulator on the internet. Plus, unlike other ones, you don't have to pay to do trades. It throws them in there. And some of the rankings, yeah, do you know what? You can dispute some of the rankings there. It's a cumulative ranking between Tony Pauline and 2 other guys. I disagree with a lot of their rankings, but at the end of the day, it's not going to go exactly how I think it's going to go. Some players are going to fall who I think are going to go early. That's the way it is every single year. I think this is by far the best mock draft simulator, the PFN one. So with a few days to go into the draft, I would highly recommend going on there. It's completely free, digging it out, having a go yourself. Get into the comment section. Let me know who you drafted for the Seahawks. And if you're not a Seahawks fan, let me know who you drafted for your team. It's quite fun, especially when you've got multiple picks like the Dolphins have and the Jets have and 1 or 2 other teams have. So go and check it out. Subscribe to the channel, SeahawksDraftBlog.com for the best coverage of the draft in the lead up to the 2021 NFL Draft.